Democratic governor's move is facing pushback from law enforcement officials and gun rights groups. At least 2 organizations have filed lawsuits arguing that it violates the Second Amendment. And over the weekend, some New Mexicans openly defied this mandate during a protest.
We all agree that the governor has overstepped her authority and is actually in violation of the law.
I don't know what her thought process was that she suddenly thought she could trample the Second Amendment.
Joining us now for her first national televised interview since issuing this order is the governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham. Governor, thank you for your time this morning. And let's get to exactly that. We just heard from the sheriff. He joins the attorney general and others who say they won't enforce it. It's unconstitutional. Why do it if it can't be enforced?
Well, that's their opinion. They have no bold actions. They don't have any plans for reducing gun violence. Every single aspect in terms of preventing gun violence, funds, crime labs, more than $150 million for retention, bonuses, and recruitment of new police officers. I'm focused on one thing. We have the 3rd highest gun-related injuries in the country, 90%.
All right, guys, so we got to do a follow-up on the story out of New Mexico that is getting national attention because it reveals exactly what the Democrats want to do, that they're pretending that they don't want to do, but this is what they want to do when it comes to this issue of the Second Amendment and guns in this country, self-defense. They actually want to take away your right to self-defense, okay? They want to take away your guns. They do not believe that responsible citizens, law-abiding gun carriers, they do not believe that you are responsible enough to carry around a firearm, okay? They are essentially siding with criminals and letting criminals know that, hey, the more crimes that you commit, the more we're going to disarm the public so that you can commit more crimes. Because criminals don't follow laws. This is why they're criminals. They're going to get access to guns anyways. And the only thing that Democrats want to do is to leave citizens defenseless against criminals. Okay, and I think that's exactly what is happening here out in New Mexico as the governor there, Miss Michelle Grisham, she is essentially pushing what she knows is an unconstitutional public health order to ban all guns, okay, concealed and open carry in certain parts of the state in response to the fact that she has no clue how to deal with the gang violence and criminals in her state. And again, this is so radical, okay, so blatantly unconstitutional that you even have people like David Hogg, whose whole career is basically advocating to ban guns, coming out and saying, hey, you're going a little bit too far, okay? You're getting too radical, too openly radical in regards to our long-term agenda. He says, quote, I support gun safety, but there is no such thing as a state public health emergency exception to the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, he actually really wants to repeal the Second Amendment. He doesn't want to overtly just not follow the Constitution. But again, don't get it twisted here, right? In regards to where these people actually stand, okay? David Hogg, if he could have it his way, he would take away all our guns except maybe, I don't know, grandpa's double barrel shotgun that he uses for self-defense at his farm, right? I mean, I'm just saying that's the ideal world that liberals would live in. You also have this guy, Ted Lieu, who is also an anti-gun zealot. He says, I support gun safety laws. However, this order from the governor of New Mexico violates the U.S. Constitution. No state in the union can suspend the federal Constitution. There is no such thing as a state public health emergency exception to the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, so again, clearly this state governor is overstepping her boundaries as a governor, okay? And again, Democrats are pushing back against it because it's too overtly radical, okay? It's too overtly radical. And you even have her own law enforcement, the local sheriffs and police that have come out and rejected following this order repeatedly, okay, after being asked about whether or not they're going to go along with this. Take a look.
Let me be clear. I hold my standards high, and I do not or never will hedge on what is right. And I take my oath seriously. In reference to concealed carry and open carry, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office will not enforce this segment of the order. While I understand the urgency, the temporary ban challenges the foundations of our Constitution, but most importantly, it is unconstitutional. My oath was to protect the Constitution, and that is what I will do. The governor made it clear in her press conference. She knew we as law enforcement did not agree with the order, and as a result, this was solely her decision. Other than this ban being unconstitutional, here are other reasons why I will not enforce the order. One, what many forget, is I have enough violence here in Bernalillo County. I do not want to have political violence towards my deputies or here in Bernalillo County. My job is to keep the peace and to make sure that the citizens of Bernalillo County are safe, and I do not believe that this order will help me do so. I'm a law enforcement professional. This order will not do anything to curb gun violence other than punish law-abiding citizens from their constitutional right to self-defense. Let me give you a personal story. Last week, as I'm sitting here as the sitting sheriff, I get a phone call that my brother also was a victim of gun violence last week that many of you do not know. While he and my nephew were sitting in their car, they were shot at and their vehicle was impacted by numerous rounds. How can I, as a sheriff, tell him to put his firearms away and not be able to protect himself?
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? The sheriff is standing up for the Constitution, okay? He is doubling and tripling down on the fact that, hey, we're not going to enforce this, okay? This is just too overtly unconstitutional. We're not going along with it. You're putting law-abiding citizens in danger. However, this is what Miss Michelle Grisham's response was to the fact that the local sheriffs are not going along with this. She's essentially doubling and tripling down on her stance as well.
On one thing, we have the third highest gun-related injuries in the country, 90% higher than the national average. We lost 143 children between 2017 and 2021. It is unacceptable, and it calls for immediate and swift and bold action. And frankly, the evidence bears out over and over again. Fewer guns on the streets makes everyone safer, and I'm focused on everyone's constitutional rights, not just those the NRA says I should be focused on.
Yeah, it's not just the NRA. Here's one other concern from the sheriff. Here's what he told my colleague Caitlin Collins last night.
In a couple of months or a year down the road, we're the ones stuck in court, and we're the ones getting sued over all of these infringement of rights and all these other court battles, when I could be focusing so much more on crime.
Has any law enforcement officer in Albuquerque or the county actually enforced this yet?
Well, we haven't issued any civil penalties, but that doesn't mean that we're not and that we don't have the ability to do that.
But that's a no, right?
This is the pushback I get from every single, well, it's a no this minute, but that doesn't mean that we aren't, and it doesn't mean that we don't have additional police presence. And if not this bold action, making sure that you're safe going to the grocery store, you're safe going to a baseball game, you're safe walking on a hiking trail. There are individuals, including young people, where it's illegal today to have a handgun. Openly carrying handguns. My question to law enforcement is, where are you? In that young 11-year-old, Froylin Villegas, 17 rounds were fired into that gun. 35,000 rounds are fired at least annually in Albuquerque alone. You are not safe going to work, getting your prescription drugs, or going to a public park. And it wasn't just about a cooling off period. It's about making sure that everyone is safer while we do bolder work to get at both the drug epidemic and the gun violence epidemic.
Look,
and it's not for police to tell me what's constitutional or not. They haven't supported not one gun violence effort in the state of New Mexico, including domestic violence protections, universal background checks. And I know you want to ask me a question, so I'll take a breath, but these are NRA talking points about their rights and not about anybody else's. And it's not a ban. It's a temporary pause so that we can make this community safer.
Yeah. So again, this woman is an absolute radical. Okay. She is a radical. Okay. She's sitting here saying, hey, it's not up to police to tell me what they can enforce and what they can enforce. Okay. I'm the governor. I'm the dictator. Right. And what I say overrides the local police, and it also overrides the Constitution as well, too, which, you know, the police are supposed to follow the Constitution. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, this is the type of authoritarianism that the Democrats want. Okay, this is what they dream of. This is a Democrat's wet dream. This is exactly what they want. So again, don't be fooled by this psyop, because that's what this is. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what's going on here. She is being thrown to the wolves. Okay, she is a Democrat governor, okay, of New Mexico. There's no doubt in my mind that she's consulted with other Democrats, major leaders in the party, about her plans to basically ban guns. Okay. She knew the ramifications and the pushback that she was going to get before doing it. Okay. But the reason why she's doing it is because Democrats want to make it seem like, oh, no. See, she's a radical. Okay. We don't agree with that. We don't agree with banning all guns. See, we love the Second Amendment. We're with you conservatives on this issue, right? When the reality is, what this actually really is an attempt to shift the Overton window on this issue all the way over to the left, right? You have some radical Democrat come out and push some extreme policy that we know that Democrats actually want. They want to ban all guns, right? So what you do is that you get this person to sacrifice themselves politically, right? And then you have a bunch of people who are overtly anti-gun Democrats say, oh, see, we're not that radical. See, we don't want to go that far. We want to meet you somewhere in the middle. But the middle used to be here, okay? But now, because of what this woman is doing, the middle is now all the way over here, right? They've shifted the middle. This is what they're trying to do, to make it seem like, oh, no. Well, what's actually reasonable is that we just want to ban handguns, right? That's reasonable, right? We want to ban handguns, AR-15s, okay? Most sporting rifles. We basically want to ban everything except shotguns, right? And that's what they really want to do. They're trying to actually shift the conversation to make it seem like their radical proposals, like, again, for example, banning sporting rifles. Oh, well, that's reasonable, because we don't want to ban all guns. This is the extreme position. The extreme position is not banning sporting rifles, right? Again, it's so obvious what this is, right? It's so obvious what this is. They really want to ban all guns, right? That's what they actually want. What she's doing is the position of the Democrat Party. If they could have it their way, okay, this is what they would do. They would repeal the Second Amendment and just get rid of all guns. This is simply about moving and shifting the conversation to make it seem like the current proposals from the Democrats, which again are to ban sporting rifles, and to limit high capacity magazines, things like they want that to be where the country is, right? Where they want to shift it over to that, right? That's what they want to get to, okay? And I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it one bit. This is 100% a psyop that is designed to, again, shift the conversation leftwards. This happens all the time. And, you know, as conservatives, we got to be smart enough to understand what's going on and not fall for the nonsense, right? Don't fall for this nonsense. Don't fall for, you know, people like David Hogg and Ted Lieu and Democrats who are anti-gun, who definitely want to ban all guns, coming out here and try to pretend like, well, we're not extremists, right? We're not extreme on this issue. You don't understand. Yeah, I'm not falling for it. But again, shout out to the Bay Sheriff, right? Shout out to the groups that are suing this woman. Shout out to the people on the ground that are defiant. Shout out to everybody who is standing up to this clearly unconstitutional order from this radical Democrat governor who's, again, being sacrificed to the wolves, in my opinion, in order to shift the conversation on this issue. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.